of adultery. Wherefore write you not what monsters her accuse? Leonatus, O master, what a strange infection has fallen into thy ear? What false Italian as poisonous tongued as handed hath prevailed on thy too ready hearing? Disloyal? No. She is punished for her truth and undergoes more goddess-like than wife-like. Such assaults as would take in some virtue. O my master, thy mind to her is now as low as were thy fortunes. How? That I should murder her upon thy love and truth and vows which I have made to thy command. I her blood? If it be so to do good service, never let me be counted serviceable. How look I, that I should seem to lack humanity, so much as this fact comes to? Do it, the letter that I have sent her by her own command shall give thee opportunity. Oh, damn paper! Black is the ink that's on thee, senseless bauble! Art thou a fettery for this act, and lookest so virgin-like without? Lo, here she comes. I am ignorant in what I am commanded. How now, Pisanio? Madam, here's a letter from my lord. Who? Thy lord? That is my lord Leonatus. Oh, learned indeed were that astronomer that knew the stars as I his characters. He'd lay the future open. You good gods, let what is here contain relish of love. Oh, my lord's health of his content. Yet not that we two are asunder. Let that grieve him. Some griefs are medicinable. That is one of them. For it doth physic love. Of his content, all but in that. Good wax thy leave. Blessed be you bees that make these locks of counsel. Lovers and men in dangerous bonds pray not alike. Though forfeiters you can and cast in prison yet, you clasp young Cupid's tables. Good news, gods! Justice under father's wrath should he take me in his dominion, could not be so cruel to me as you. Oh, the dearest of creatures would even renew me with your eyes. Take notice that I am in Cambria at Milford Haven. What your own love will out of this advise you. Follow. So he wishes you all happiness that remains loyal to his vow, and you're increasing in love. Leonatus Posthumus. Oh, for a horse with wings, hearest thou, Pisanio? He is at Milford Haven. Read and tell me how far 'tis thither. If one of mean affairs may plot it in a week, why may not I glide thither in a day? Then true Pisanio, who longest like me to see my lord, who longest, oh, let me bait, but not like me, yet longest but in a fainter kind. Oh, not like me, for mine's beyond, say and speak thick, let love's counsel should fill the bores of hearing, to the smothering of the sense, how far it is to this same blessed Milford. And by the way, tell me how Wales was made so happy as to inherit such a haven. But first of all, how we may steal from hence, and for the gap that we shall make in time from our hence going, and our return to excuse. But first, how get hence? Why should excuse be born or e'er begot? We'll talk of that hereafter. Prithee, speak. How many score of miles may we well rid twixt hour and hour? 100 twixt sun and sun, madam, is enough for you, and too much too. Why One that rode to his execution, man, could never go so slow. I've heard of riding wagers where horses have been nimbler than the sands that run at the clock's behalf, but this is foolery. Go bid my woman feign a sickness, say she'll home to her father, and provide me presently a riding suit no costlier than would fit a franklin's housewife. Madam, your best consider. I see before me, man, not here nor here, nor what ensues, but have a fog in them, that I cannot look through. Away, I prithee! Do as I bid thee. There's no more to say. Accessible is none but Milford way. A goodly day not to keep house with such whose roof's as low as ours. Stoop, boys, this gate instructs you how to adore the heavens and bows you to a morning's holy office. The gates of monarchs are arched so high that giants may jet through and keep their impious turbans on without good morrow to the sun. Hail, thou fair heaven! We house in the rock, yet use thee not so hardly as prouder livers do. Hail heaven! Hail heaven! Now for our mountain sport up to yon hill. Your legs are young, I'll tread these flats. Consider, when you above perceive me like a crow, that it is place which lessens and sets off, and you may then revolve what tales I have told you of courts, of princes, or of the tricks in war. This service is not service, so being done, but being so loud to apprehend thus draws us profit from all things we see, and often to our comfort shall we find the sharded beetle in a safer hold than is the full-winged eagle. Oh, this life is nobler than attending for a check, richer than doing nothing for a robe, prouder than rustling in unpaid-for silk. Such gain the cap of him that makes him fine, yet keeps his book uncrossed. No life to ours. Out of your proof you speak. We poor unfledged have never winged from view of the nest, nor know not what heirs from home. Haply this life is best, if quiet life be best. Sweeter to you that have a sharper known well corresponding with your stiff age. But unto us it is a self-ignorance, travelling a bed, a prison, or a debtor that not dares to stride a limit. What should we speak of when we are old as you? When we shall hear the rain and wind but be dark December, how is this our pinching cave shall we discourse, the freezing hours away? We have seen nothing. We are beastly, subtle as the fox for prey, like warlike as the wolf for what we eat. Our valor is to chase what flies, our rage we make acquire, as doth the prison bird, and sing our bondage freely. How you speak! Did you but know the city's usuries, and felt them knowingly the art of the court, as hard to leave as keep, whose top to climb, as certain falling, or so slippery that the fear's as bad as falling. The toil of the war, a pain that only seems to seek out danger in the name of fame and honour, which dies of the search and hath as oft a slanderous epitaph as record of fair act. Nay, many times doth ill deserve by doing well what's worse. Must curtsy at the censor. Oh, boys, this story the world may read in me. My body's marked with Roman swords, and my report was once, first with the best of note. Cymbeline loved me, and when a soldier was the theme, my name was not far off. Then was I as a tree, whose boughs did bend with fruit, but in one night a storm of robbery, call it what you will, shook down my mellow hangings, nay, my leaves, and left me bare to weather. Uncertain favour. My fault being nothing, as I have told you oft, but that two villains, those whose false oaths prevailed before my perfect honour, swore to Cymbeline I was confederate with the Romans. So followed my banishment, and this 20 years, this rock and these demesnes have been my world, where I have lived as at honest freedom, paid more pious debts to heaven than in all the forend of my time. But up to the mountains, this is not hunter's language. He that strikes the venison first shall be the lord of the feast. To him the other two shall minister, and we will fear no poison, which attends in place of great estate. I'll meet you in the valleys. How hard it is to hide the sparks of nature. These boys know little they are sons to the king, nor Cymbeline dreams that they are alive. They think they are mine, and those trained up thus mainly, ere the cave wherein they bow their thoughts do hit the roofs of palaces, and nature prompts them in simple low things to prince it much beyond the trick of others. This Polydore, the heir of Cymbeline and Britain, who the king his father called Guiderius, Jove, when on my 3-foot stool I sit and tell the warlike feats I have done, his spirits fly out unto my stories, say, thus mine enemy fell, and thus I set my foot on his neck. Even then the princely blood flows in his cheek, he sweats, strains his young nerves, and puts himself in posture that acts my words. The younger brother Codwell, once Avaragus, in as like a figure, strikes life into my speech, and shows much more his own conceiving. Hark, the game is roused. O Cymbeline, heaven and my conscience knows thou didst unjustly banish me, whereon at 3 and 2 years old I stole these babes, thinking to bar thee of succession, as thou reftest me of my lands. Euryphile, thou wast their nurse. They took thee for their mother, and every day do honour to her grave. Myself Belarius, that and Morgan called, they take for natural father. The game is up. Thou toldest me, when we came from Horus, the place was near at hand. There longed my mother, so to me, first as I have now, Pisanio may, and where's Posthumus? What is in thy mind that makes thee stare thus? Wherefore breaks that sigh from the inward of thee? One but painted thus would be interpreted a thing perplexed beyond self-explication. Put thyself into a heavier, of less fear, ere wildness vanquish my stater senses. What's the matter? Why tenderest thou that paper to me with a look untender? If it be summer news, smile to it before. If winterly thou needest, but keep that countenance still. My husband's hand, that drug-damned Italy had outcraftied him, and he's at home, hard point, speak, man, thy tongue may take off some extremity, which to read would be even mortal to me. Please you read, and you shall find me, wretched man, a thing that most disdained of fortune. Thy mistress, Pisanio, hath played the strumpet in my bed, the testimonies whereof lies bleeding in me. I speak not out of weak surmises, but from proof as strong as my grief, and as certain as I expect my revenge. That part thou, Pisanio, must act for me. If thy faith be not tainted with the breach of hers, let thine own hands take away her life. I shall give thee opportunity at Milford Haven. She hath my letter for the purpose where, If thou fear to strike and to make me certain it is done, thou art the pander to her dishonour, and equally to me disloyal. What shall I need to draw my sword? The paper hath cut her throat already. No, 'tis slender, whose edge is sharper than the sword, whose tongue outvenoms all the worms of Nile, whose breath rides on the posting winds and doth belie all corners of the world. Kings, queens, and states, maids, matrons, nay, the secrets of the grave. This viper's slander enters. What cheer, madam? False. To his bed? What is it to be false? To lie in watch there, and to think on him? To weep twixt clock and clock, if sleep charge nature, to bring it with a fearful dream of him, and cry myself awake? That's false to his bed, is it? Alas, good lady, I false. Thy conscience witness, Iachimo, thou didst accuse him of incontinency. Thou then lookest like a villain. Now methinks thy favour's good enough. Some jay of Italy, whose mother was her painting, hath betrayed him. For I am stale, a garment out of fashion, and for I am rather than to hang by the walls, I must be ripped to pieces with me. Oh, men's vows are women's traitors. All good seeming by thy revolt, O husband, shall be thought put on for villainy, not born where's grows, but worn a bait for ladies. Good madam, hear me. True, honest men, being heard like false Aeneas, when his time thought false and silence weeping, did scandal many a holy tear, took pity from most true wretchedness. So thou, Posthumus, wilt lay the leaven on all proper men. Goodly and gallant shall be false and perjured from thy great fail. Come, fellow, be thou honest. Do thou thy master's bidding. When thou seest him, a little witness my obedience. Look. I draw the sword myself, take it and hit the innocent mansion of my love, my heart. Fear not. 'Tis empty of all things but grief. Thy master is not there, who was indeed the riches of it. Do his bidding, strike. Thou mayest be valiant in a better cause, but now thou seemest a coward. Hence, vile instrument, thou shalt not damn my hand. Why? I must die. And if I do not by thy hand, thou art no servant of thy master's. Against self-slaughter there is a prohibition so divine that cravens my weak hand. Come, here's my heart, some things afford it, soft, with no defense, obedient as the scabbard. What is here? The scriptures of the lawyer Leonatus, all turned to heresy. Away, away, corrupters of my faith! You shall no more be stomachers to my heart. Thus may poor fools believe false teachers. Though those that are betrayed do feel the treason sharply, yet the traitor stands in worst case of woe. And thou, Posthumus, that didst set up my disobedience against the king my father, and make me put into contempt the suits of princely fellows, shalt hereafter find it is no act of common passage, but a strain of rareness. And I grieve myself to think, when thou shalt be disedged by her that now thou tirest on, how thy memory will then be pagged by me. Prithee, dispatch the lamb and treat the butcher. Where is thy knife? Thou art too slow to do thy master's bidding when I desire it too. O gracious lady, since I have received to do this business, I have not slept one wink. Do it, and to bed then. I'll wake mine eyeballs out first. Wherefore then didst undertake it? Why hast thou abused so many miles with a pretence? This place, mine action and thine own, a horse's labour, the time inviting thee, the perturbed court for my being absent, whereunto I never propose return. Why hast thou gone so far, to be unbent when thou hast ta'en thy stand, the elected deer before thee? But to win time, to lose so bad employment, in the which I have considered of the course. Good lady, hear me with patience. Talk thy tongue weary, speak. I have heard I am a strumpet, and mine ear, therein false struck, can take no greater wound, nor tend to bottom that. But speak. Then, madam, I thought you would knock back again. Most like bringing me here to kill me. Not so, neither. But if I were as wise as honest, then my purpose would prove well. It cannot be but that my master is abused. Some villain eye, and singular in his art, hath done you both this cursed injury. Some Roman courtesan, no, on my life, I'll give but notice you are dead, and send him some bloody sign of it, for 'tis commanded I should do so. You shall be missed at court, and that will well confirm it. Why, good fellow, what shall I do the while? Where bide? How live, or in my life what comfort when I am dead to my husband? If you'll back to the court. No court, no father, nor no more ado with that harsh, noble, simple nothing that Cloten, whose love suit hath been to me as fearful as a siege. If not at court, then not in Britain must you bide. Where, then? Hath Britain all the sun that shines day, night? Are they not but in Britain? The world's volume our Britain seems as of it, but not in it. In a great pool of swan's nest, prithee think there's livers out of Britain. I am most glad you think of other place. The ambassador Lucius the Roman comes to Milford Haven tomorrow. Now if you could wear a mind dark as your fortune is, and but disguise that which to appear itself must not yet be, but by self-danger you should tread a course, pretty and full of view, yea, haply near the residence of Posthumus, so nigh at least, that though his actions were not visible, yet report should render him hourly to your ear as truly as he moves. Oh, for such means, though peril to my modesty, nor not death on it, I would adventure. Well then, heaven's the point. You must forget to be a woman. Change command into obedience, fear and niceness the handmaids of all women, or more truly, woman, it pretty self, into a waggish courage. Ready in jibes, quick-answered, saucy, and as querulous as the weasel. Nay, you must forget that rarest treasure of your cheek, exposing it, but oh, the harder heart. Allag no remedy to the greedy touch of common kissing Titan, and forget your laboursome and dainty trims, wherein you made great Juno angry. Nay, be brief. I see into thy end, and am almost a man already. First, make yourself but like one. For thinking this, I have already fit 'tis in my cloak bag, doublet, hat, hose, all that answer to them. Would you, and there serving, and with what imitation you can borrow from youth of such a season, for noble Lucius, present yourself, desire his service, tell him, wherein you're happy, which will make him know, if that his head have ear and music, doubtless with joy he will embrace you, for he's honourable, and doubting that most holy, Your means abroad you have me rich, and I will never fail beginning nor supplement. Thou art all the comfort the gods will diet with me with. Prithee away. There's more to be considered, but will even all that good diet will give us this attempt? I am soldier too, and will abide it with a prince's courage. Away, I prithee. Well, madam, we must take a short farewell, lest being missed I be suspected of your carriage from the court. My noble mistress, here's a box, I had it from the queen. What is in it is precious. If you are sick at sea of stomach qualmed at land, the dram of this will drive any away distemper to some shade, and fit you to your manhood. May the gods direct you to the best. Amen. I thank thee.